What were your feelings about Yiddish when you were growing up?
Eine gute Frage. Very mixed. I mean, growing up, I always knew that it was great, but I had sort of, I think it made me feel weird when I was little. I lived in Texas, and my parents were really my dad in particular was the primary person I spoke Yiddish with, except for when we went back to New York. And on the one hand, I think I enjoyed that sort of thing that I had, that people didn't, I liked the secret, I'd talk to him in Yiddish when I didn't want people to understand, and he did a really good job of creating a Yiddish world for me. We would make Rezelach, we'd do the little cutout for Shavuos, and we'd do we celebrated together, but it was almost just the two of us. And he did, I remember when I was a kid, like I said, he was a professor, and he would have me come in, and I gave his class a test once. I came in and told him about my doll in Yiddish. I was like, this is my doll, and this in Yiddish, and I told all about her, and then I gave them a test. So I think there was this sort of, I loved it, and I felt proud of it, and then also there was a little bit of a lack of understanding of why I was speaking Yiddish, and not from him. He was very clear, this is our language, and this is not a question. But it was sort of decontextualized, it was the two of us. And then when I was 11, we moved here, or 12, and we met all these people, who I'd always known and sort of met, and I guess met is not the right word, we had spent time with over summers and but started really spending time with the Yiddish community here. There are so many Yiddish communities in New York, but one that we particularly spent a lot of time with was the sort of klezmer Yiddish culture scene, which doesn't necessarily mean that they were speaking Yiddish, but but people who loved Yiddish culture and were cool, and were doing cool things with it, and were political, and were subversive, and were thoughtful, and sort of using Yiddish in intellectual ways that I thought was really awesome. And I loved that. And I think finding that community of people to be a part of gave Yiddish sort of, a different way of using it, with sort of the constant stream throughout that Yiddish wasn't a variable. It was the primary. I would say, if you had to ask when I was a kid what I thought my identifiers were, I would put Yiddish. I still think I would put Yiddish before Jewish. Yiddish is sort of, it's our primary identity in my family. Yiddish and Jewish are the same thing, obviously, but, or not obviously, but for many. And my dad was always you can't separate those two things, because one created the other, and sort of this mutual creation, but Yiddish is our thing.